Hello and a very good evening. You're watching the news at 6 on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reaffirms government's commitment to give a house to every homeless family by 2022, says that building houses on a large scale will generate employment and improve quality of life. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj to address annual high-level session of UNGA. India is expected to raise issues of terror, climate change and United Nations reforms. Senior journalist KJ Singh and his 92-year-old mother Gurcharan Kaur found murdered in their residence in Mohali. Punjab police sets up a special investigation team to investigate the case. And Iran successfully tests new medium-range missile, defying warnings from Washington. State television carries footage of the missile that was first displayed at a high-profile military parade on Thursday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is on a two-day visit to his parliamentary constituency Varanasi, said today that by 2022, every poor person will get a home. He stressed that his government's prime agenda is development and the well-being of the nation. The Prime Minister was addressing a rally in Varanasi's Shahenshahpur, the village that was named after Shahenshah Humayun. The Mughal emperor had taken shelter in the village after his battle with Sher Shah Suri more than 450 years ago.
Addressing a public meeting in his parliamentary constituency of Varanasi, Prime Minister Narendra Modi lashed out at the opposition while stating that the BJP believed in politics not for votes but for development.
राजनीति का स्वभाव होता है कि वे उसी काम को करना पसंद करते हैं जिसमें वोट की संभावना होती है। अपनी वोट बैंक मजबूत बनाने के लिए वो अपना काम किया करते हैं। लेकिन भाइयों बहनों, हम अलग संस्कारों से पले बड़े हैं, हमारा चरित्र अलग है। हमारे लिए दल से बड़ा देश है और दल से बड़ा देश होने के कारण हमारी प्राथमिकताएं वोट के हिसाब से नहीं होती है।
The Prime Minister also reiterated his promise to double farmers' incomes and homes for all by 2022. He encouraged farmers to adopt dairy and animal husbandry to augment their income.
हमारा संकल्प है 2022 तक हम हमारे किसानों की आय डबल करें, दोगुना करें और उसके लिए पशुपालन एक मार्ग है, खेती में आधुनिकता लाना एक मार्ग है। हमने तय किया है 2022 भारत की आजादी के 75 साल होंगे। हिंदुस्तान के हर गरीब को उसका घर देंगे, चाहे गरीब शहर में रहने वाला हो, चाहे गरीब गांव में रहने वाला हो।
Referring to his government's cleanliness drive, Modi said he was happy to have got the opportunity to help in the construction of toilets for the poor.
स्वच्छता मेरे लिए पूजा है। स्वच्छता मेरे देश में गरीबों को बीमारी से मुक्त कराएगी। स्वच्छता मेरे देश में गरीबों को आरोग्य के कारण जो आर्थिक बोझ आता है उससे मुक्ति दिलाएगी और इसलिए एक गरीबों की भलाई करने का मेरा अभियान है और उसमें जो लोग साथ दे रहे हैं मैं उनको बधाई देता हूं। अभी यूनिसेफ ने 10,000 परिवारों का सर्वे किया भारत में। टॉयलेट बनाने वाली बात को लेकर सर्वे किया और मैंने कल एक अखबार में पढ़ा कि यूनिसेफ ने कहा है अगर टॉयलेट घर में है तो सालाना 50,000 रुपया जो बीमारी के पीछे खर्च होता है वो बच जाता है।
The Prime Minister also thanked UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath for organizing health treatment for cattle, saying such camps will help poor farmers.
पशुधन आरोग्य मेले के द्वारा हमारा गरीब किसान जो पशु की देखभाल करने में कभी-कभी संकोच करता है, आर्थिक कारणों से कभी-कभी वो कर नहीं पाता है और इसलिए ऐसे लोग किसानों को एक पशुधन आरोग्य सेवा के कारण बहुत बड़ी राहत होगी और हम जानते हैं कि कृषि के क्षेत्र में हमारे किसानों को आय में अगर सबसे ज्यादा कोई मदद पहुंचाता है तो वो मदद पशुपालन, दूध उत्पादन के द्वारा पहुंचती है और इसलिए पशुपालन और दूध उत्पादन के द्वारा हमारे पशु आरोग्य मेले के द्वारा आने वाले दिनों में गांव गरीब किसान, हमारे पशुपालक, उनके लिए बहुत ही उत्तम सेवा होगी, सुविधा होगी और इस काम के लिए मैं उत्तर प्रदेश की सरकार को हृदय से बहुत-बहुत बधाई देता हूं।
Earlier on Friday, the Prime Minister inaugurated 17 infra projects worth over 1,000 crore rupees, including the Ramnagar Samne Ghat Bridge and the Balua Ghat Bridge. He also flagged off the third Mahamanna Express train between Varanasi and Vadodara. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj is expected to raise issues like the global fight against terrorism, climate change and UNSC reforms when she addresses the United Nations General Assembly later tonight. Tonight's address will be the second consecutive time Swaraj speaks at the UNGA. Though Indian officials have remained tight-lipped on the content of the speech, it is expected to take forward India's strong response to Pakistan's rhetoric on Kashmir in the UN General Assembly. India had yesterday ripped into Pakistan, describing it as a terroristan and a land of pure terror that hosts a flourishing industry to produce and export global terrorism. On Friday, the External Affairs Minister had met US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson on the sidelines of the UNGA. Swaraj raised issues of H-1B visas with Tillerson as the two leaders met for the first time in a bilateral meeting. The two ministers also discussed regional issues with a focus on Pakistan, Afghanistan and terrorism. Sushma Swaraj also discussed the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals or DACA policy, which US President Donald Trump has threatened to end, spelling uncertainty for 800,000 immigrants, including 7,000 Indian immigrants in the United States.
Two leaders reviewed all aspects of bilateral relationship, including economic, trade and investment and defense issues. There was a very strong regional focus in the discussions. The two leaders discussed Pakistan, Afghanistan and terrorism. EAM also very strongly raised the issue of H-1B visa and also the issue of DACA with Secretary of State Tillerson.
Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh on Saturday said globalization is here to stay and those who were skeptical about the success of India's new policies 25 years ago have been proven wrong. Singh also added that it was a matter of pride that the broad thrust and direction of economic policies had remained unchanged in the last 25 years. The former Prime Minister also described demonetization as an unnecessary adventure and said such moves had not succeeded anywhere in the world except a few Latin American and African nations. The senior Congress leader was speaking at the 15th edition of the Indian School of Business Leadership Summit 2017.
डिमोनेटाइजेशन के बाद बेईमानों का बंटाधार हुआ है भ्रष्टाचार पर अंकुश लगा है। और निश्चित तौर से वो लोग जो लोग की समझते थे कि भ्रष्टाचार और बेईमानी उनका जन्मसिद्ध अधिकार है, उनको जो है वो हताशा भी हुई है, निराशा भी हुई है। और कुछ वरिष्ठ लोग, अगर ऐसे लोग जो लोग की डिमोनेटाइजेशन के बाद जिन पर अंकुश लगा है, उनके पक्ष में खड़े दिखाई पड़े, तो ये दुर्भाग्य है, दुखद है।
Well, the government has decided to extend the term of Chief Economic Advisor Arvind Subramanian by another year till October 2018. Subramanian was appointed India's Chief Economic Advisor in October 2014. His term was for 3 years, which was to end on October 16 this year. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley made the announcement for an extension on Saturday. The CEA is usually the main go-to person for advice for the Finance Minister on macroeconomic matters. His primary responsibilities include authoring the mid-year analysis and the economic survey. Subramanian's predecessor was Raghuram Rajan, who quit the position in September 2013 after being appointed the Governor of the Reserve Bank of India.
Delighted to take on the challenges of the economy in the months ahead. Economy, we know what the challenges are. We have to revive growth, investment, exports, and government is working on multiple fronts. And as the finance minister said, in the days ahead, you will get to know what the government is planning to do.
Well, there is some relief in sight for the common man as petrol and diesel prices could come down. Oil Minister Dharmendra Pradhan said on Saturday that fuel prices have already started coming down and will continue to fall in the coming weeks. The oil minister cited the recent hurricanes in the United States as the reason for the instability in the petroleum market and the hike. Pradhan also backed the possible implementation of GST on petroleum products, saying it would safeguard the interests of the people.
2 दिन में दाम स्थिर है और 1-2 पैसा घटना भी शुरू किया है। मैंने कहा था कि एक अस्थायी है। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय बाजार में अमेरिका में 2 तूफान आने के कारण अचानक एक प्राइस में हाइक हुई थी। धीरे धीरे वहां भी स्टेबिलिटी आना शुरू किया है। प्राइस भी अभी स्थिर हो रहा है, आगे घटना भी शुरू करेगा, ऐसा अनुमान है।
Well, moving on to some other news now. KJ Singh, a senior journalist, and his 92-year-old mother have been found dead at their residence in Mohali in Punjab. The police suspects that the two were murdered. Singh's throat had been slit while his mother was suspected to have been strangled. The Punjab police has now set up a special investigative team under the Inspector General to probe the suspected murder. Singh was a former news editor of the Indian Express, the Tribune and the Times of India in Chandigarh. The media fraternity in Punjab, Haryana and Chandigarh has strongly condemned the alleged killings and asked for speedy arrests. Well, the Central Bureau of Investigation on Saturday got the custody of 3 people arrested by the Haryana police in connection with the murder of a 7-year-old student at the Ryan International School. A designated Gurugram court remanded the 3 accused to 1-day CBI custody in the ongoing case, which was earlier being investigated by the Haryana police. A 12-member forensics team of the CBI also reached the Ryan International School in Gurugram to look for clues into the murder of 7-year-old Pradyuman Thakur inside the school's washroom earlier this month. With the CBI taking over the case, the deceased student's father is hopeful that the inquiry will be fair and the culprits will be punished.
इस मामले में जो इंक्वायरी है वो फेयर होगी और जो भी कल्प्रिट हैं सभी के सभी मतलब ट्रेस आउट होंगे और उन पे कार्रवाई निश्चित रूप से होगी.
The National Capital Region witnessed cloudy skies and light showers on Saturday morning for the 2nd day in a row. The dip in temperature brought respite from the sweltering heat in the region, but traffic snarls came back on the waterlogged roads. The Met Department predicted moderate to heavy rains are likely to lash Delhi NCR for the next 48 hours. While other parts of North India witnessed spells of rain as well. The IMD has issued a heavy rainfall warning in Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh for the next 24 hours. The districts concerned have been asked to remain prepared to deal with any situation. Heavy showers with thunder are expected to continue in parts of Dehradun till Sunday. The Indian Met Department has attributed the current rainfall to the interaction between low pressure area and the western disturbance.
से वेरी हैवी रेन्स हमको देखने को मिली है और उसमें खासकर नैनीताल की अगर बात करें तो उसमें एक्सट्रीमली हैवी रेनफॉल मिली है। 22 सेंटीमीटर के आसपास वहां पर रेन मिली है। कल सुबह के बाद एक्टिविटी कम होगी, तो बिल्कुल जो अलर्ट है या जो वार्निंग है वो अभी भी और 24 आवर्स आज के लिए जो है कंटिन्यूड है।
Well, let's now get you a roundup of some other news from across the country and nationwide. A fire broke out at a commercial building in Kandivali East, where 8 fire engines were rushed to the spot. The blaze broke out on the second floor of the 3-story structure of Bonanza Industrial Estate. 5 people were rescued. The fire was restricted to 5 shops on the second floor. No casualties were reported. Pakistani troops targeted Indian outposts and hamlets in Jammu, Samba and Poonch districts in overnight firing and shelling. 2 BSF jawans and 5 civilians were injured. Continuous ceasefire violations by Pakistan along the international border and the line of control have forced hundreds of border residents to flee their homes. So far, Pakistan has targeted over 20 villages. The central government today launched a countrywide LPG Panchayat as a backup to the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana to distribute LPG connections among the rural areas where conventional fuel is used for domestic purposes. Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani formally launched the program at Mota Ishanpur village in Gandhinagar district. Union Petroleum and Natural Gas Minister Dharmendra Pradhan was the chief guest at the function. Bahujan Samaj Party Chief Mayawati will visit Vadodara as part of the program to celebrate the centenary of the Mahasankalp Divas. The day father of the Indian Constitution, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, vowed to fight inequality. She is expected to virtually launch the party's campaign for the upcoming assembly polls by addressing a rally at the Kala Bhavan ground. Two coaches of an empty Agra-Gwalior passenger train derailed at the Agra Cantonment railway station today. According to railway officials, the train was moving for cleaning when the derailment took place. No one was injured in the accident and the train operations were not affected by the derailment. Well, moving on to some international news now. Defying US sanctions, Iran successfully tested a new medium-range missile and said that it was ready to ditch a landmark nuclear deal over the issue. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani also pledged to increase the Islamic Republic's defensive power, including its missile capabilities and military forces.
آزمایش موفق موشک خرمشهر، جدیدترین سامانه موشکی ایران که روز گذشته در مراسم آغاز هفته دفاع مقدس رونمایی شد، با موفقیت آزمایش شد.
Iran has successfully tested a new ballistic missile with a range of 2,000 kilometers hours after displaying it at a military parade on Friday. The state media gave no date for the test, although officials had said on Friday that it would be tested soon. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani has pledged to increase the country's defensive power, including its missile capabilities and military forces. Rouhani made the remarks at a military parade in Tehran to mark the 37th anniversary of the outbreak of the 1980-1988 war with Iraq.
چه نخواهید ما از مردم مظلوم یمن، مردم مظلوم سوریه، مردم مظلوم فلسطین دفاع خواهیم کرد. چه شما بخواهید چه نخواهید ما قدرت دفاعی و نظامی خودمون را اون مقدار که لازم بدانیم و برای بازدارندگی ضروری بدانیم تقویت خواهیم کرد. نه تنها موشک هامون را تقویت میکنیم، بلکه نیروی زمینیمون، نیروی هواییمون، نیروی دریاییمون.
Defending its actions, Iran said that it had successfully tested a new medium-range missile in defiance of warnings from Washington. It also asserted that if it came to, it would even ditch the landmark nuclear deal with the US over the issue.
ما اگر عهد و پیمانی را با کسی بستیم تا وقتی پای عهد و پیمان ایستادیم که طرف مقابل ما به عهد و پیمانمان احترام بگذارد.
The United States has issued sanctions on Iran while accusing it of violating the 2015 nuclear deal signed between Tehran and major world powers. On the sidelines of the UNGA, US President Donald Trump had threatened to bend the agreement over Iran's nuclear program. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
British Prime Minister Theresa May has sought what she calls a creative partnership with EU, proposing a 2-year transition period after Brexit. She wants continued access to the EU single market till 2021, even after leaving the European Union in 2019. She says during this period, the UK would honour its budget commitments, remain bound by EU laws and accept continued immigration from Europe. EU has welcomed May's ideas.
Breakups are never easy, and in case of Britain leaving the European Union, it is likely to be protracted. British Prime Minister Theresa May has called for a 2-year transition after Brexit. This means after leaving the EU in 2019, Britain would largely maintain its ties with Brussels till 2021, continuing to enjoy unfettered access to the single European market. May says transition period was required for the UK to conclude a trade deal with the EU.
We want to work hand in hand with the European Union rather than as part of the European Union. That is why in my speech at Lancaster House, I said that the United Kingdom would seek to secure a new, deep and special partnership with the European Union.
According to the plan envisaged by May during the transition period from 2019 to 2021, trade will continue on current terms. EU migrants will be able to live and work in the UK, but they will have to register with the authorities. UK will pay into the EU budget to cover joint programs in areas like security, science and culture. The idea was floated by May to unlock stalled negotiations with the European Union.
Let's be ambitious about what we can achieve because, as I said, we start from an unprecedented position in terms of our current relationship with the EU. We remember we're coming out, but that enables us to build a different sort of partnership for the future.
EU's chief Brexit negotiator Michael Barnier described the speech as constructive and said the Prime Minister had shown a willingness to move forward. However, he said that during the transition period, Britain would have to accede to all EU rules. He has called for more details. On home soil, the opposition called May's speech as pathetic, saying it was a result of negotiations with her own divided party rather than discussions with the EU.
Well, 15 months on since the referendum, and we get to a situation where the Prime Minister faces the reality that she's going to have to look for a transition period.
We voted to leave on the 23rd of June 2016. What we're now being told today is we'll be full members up until the end of 2021. Oh, and then there'll be a general election, and they'll say, vote for us, trust us, and we'll take you out in the next Parliament. It's pathetic.
After her speech in the Italian city of Florence, British citizens gathered to protest against May's Brexit stance.
In the UK, that there are many British people who are not at all in agreement with Brexit and who do not think that the present government is showing any sort of adequate leadership at all.
May is going to ask Europe to be creative. Creative? We're not painting by numbers. We cannot be creative. We need facts and a manifesto.
The pace of Brexit negotiations has so far frustrated EU and business leaders. The third round of talks ended last month in a very public dispute over how much Britain will pay in a divorce settlement. Divisions have also emerged within May's government. May will hope that her speech will satisfy demands from the European Union for a clarity on Britain's position, as well as placate the hard Brexit wing of her Conservative Party. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, here's a roundup of some other international news and global buzz. German Chancellor Angela Merkel is likely to win a fourth term as leader when the federal election ends on Sunday. Merkel, leader of the Christian Democratic Union, has led the German government since 2005. According to the latest polls, Merkel's CDU has 37% support, putting them 17 points ahead of Martin Schulz's Social Democratic Party. China on Saturday imposed a limit on oil supplies to North Korea under United Nations sanctions over its nuclear and missile development. The Commerce Ministry of China said that the exports of refined petroleum to Pyongyang will be limited to 2 million barrels per year and will ban sales of liquefied natural gas effective from January 1, 2018. After the 7.1 magnitude earthquake hit Mexico, a search and rescue operation is underway in 10 buildings where authorities hope to find survivors. At least 280 people have died and 2,000 people have been injured when buildings collapsed due to the tremors. About 60 people have been pulled out alive from under the rubble so far. Eminent scientist Professor C.N.R. Rao became the first Asian to be chosen for the prestigious Von Hippel Award for his contribution to materials research. The award is the US-based Materials Research Society's highest honor and notes Rao's immense work on novel functional materials including nanomaterials, graphene and 2D materials, superconductivity and colossal magnetoresistance. The award will be presented in Boston on November 29th. Well, let's now shift focus and bring you up to speed with some sports news in Sports Beat. India's campaign ended at the Japan Open Super Series after the mixed doubles pair of Pranav Jerry Chopra and N. Sikki Reddy lost their semi-final match against the Japanese duo of Takuro Hoki and Sayaka Hirota. Pranav and Sikki had the advantage in the first game but went down in the second and third. The Indian duo lost the game 21-14, 15-21, 19-21. Indian cyclist Deborah Harold bagged 2 silver medals on the 7th day of the 5th Asian Indoor and Martial Arts Games at Ashgabat, Turkmenistan. She bagged a silver medal in the 6-lap Kiran event in the track cycling and another in the team sprint event with Alina Reggie. Deborah has won 3 silver medals so far in the Games. India is currently 9th in the medals tally with 5 gold, 6 silver and 5 bronze medals. And in tennis, defending champion Caroline Wozniacki defeated new world number 1 Garbine Muguruza 6-2, 6-0 to advance to the final of the Pan-Pacific Open. Denmark's Wozniacki broke the top seeded Spanish Muguruza's serve on several occasions and cruised through the match. That's it on this newscast. Have a good evening.